The champagne flute slipped from trembling fingers, crystal fragments scattering across the marble floor like fallen stars. The engagement party buzzed around her, a kaleidoscope of congratulations and clinking glasses, but she stood frozen in the doorway, watching her world crumble in real time. Nico stood at the center of the room, his arm wrapped possessively around Yasmin's waist as she flashed that million-dollar smile everyone had fallen for since childhood. The same smile that had convinced teachers to excuse her homework, parents to overlook her lies, and now apparently had stolen the man who'd promised forever just 3 months ago. Surprise. Yasmin's voice cut through the chatter like a blade. I know this might seem sudden, but when you know, right? The crowd erupted in cheers, oblivious to the devastation radiating from the woman they'd all forgotten existed. She pressed her back against the cool wall, fighting the urge to scream, to run, to demand answers from the two people who'd just obliterated her entire future without warning. Nico's eyes found hers across the room for a split second. The guilt flickering there confirmed everything she'd refused to believe when the whispers started, when the late-night phone calls began, when he'd grown distant and cold. Her best friend since kindergarten and her fiancé of 2 years had been carrying on behind her back, and now they were celebrating their engagement in the very venue she'd booked for her own wedding. Yasmin's laugh echoed off the walls, sharp and triumphant. She'd won again just like she always did. But this time she'd taken everything. 3 days later, the doorbell's persistent chiming dragged her from the couch where she'd been drowning in ice cream and self-pity. Vera shuffled to the door, her silk scarf wrapped around unwashed hair, designer pajamas wrinkled beyond recognition. Yasmin stood on the doorstep, radiant in a flowing sundress, engagement ring catching the afternoon light like a weapon. Girl, you look rough. I brought coffee and croissants from that place you love. The audacity was breathtaking. You've got some nerve showing up here. Oh, come on, Vera. We need to talk. Yasmin pushed past her into the apartment, setting down bags from the most expensive bakery in town. I know you're upset, but you have to understand. Understand what? That my best friend has been screwing my fiancé behind my back. Yasmin's perfectly contoured face crumpled into practiced innocence. It wasn't like that. We fell in love, see, real love. The kind you read about in books. You wouldn't want to stand in the way of true love, would you? The manipulation was so smooth, so perfectly delivered that for a moment Vera almost bought it. Almost. Until she remembered the engagement ring that had been meant for her finger, the venue deposit that had come from her savings account, the wedding dress hanging in Yasmin's closet that looked suspiciously like the one she'd shown her best friend just weeks ago. Get out. Wait, there's something else. Yasmin's voice took on that wheedling tone that had gotten them both out of trouble countless times. I want you to be my maid of honor. The words hung in the air like poison gas, slowly choking the life out of the room. Vera stared at her former best friend, searching for any sign that this was some sick joke, some elaborate prank that would end with cameras jumping out and everyone laughing. But Yasmin's expression remained earnest, hopeful even, as if she'd just asked Vera to grab lunch instead of participating in the ultimate humiliation. You want me to be your maid of honor, Vera repeated slowly, tasting each word like bitter medicine. At your wedding. To my ex-fiancé. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Yasmin settled onto the couch, making herself comfortable in the wreckage of Vera's life. We've been best friends for 22 years. We've shared everything. Clothes, secrets, dreams. You know me better than anyone. Apparently not well enough to see this coming. Yasmin's laugh tinkled like broken bells. You're being dramatic. Nico and I were inevitable. It would have happened eventually. This way at least it stays in the family, right? The casual cruelty of it stole Vera's breath. This wasn't just betrayal. It was psychological warfare disguised as friendship. Yasmin wasn't just taking Nico. She wanted to parade her victory in front of everyone they knew, with Vera as the unwilling witness to her own destruction. People will talk if you're not there, Yasmin continued, examining her manicured nails. They'll say we had some petty falling out over a man. But if you stand beside me, show everyone how mature and supportive you are, it proves our friendship is stronger than any drama. The sick genius of it was almost admirable. Almost. Besides, Yasmin continued, her voice honey-sweet with venom, it's your fault this happened in the way it did. Vera's blood turned to ice. Excuse me. Well, you were always so busy with work, always traveling for those conferences, always putting your career first. Nico felt neglected. Lonely. Yasmin's tone carried the false sympathy of a concerned friend rather than a homewrecker. I was just being a good friend, listening to his problems, being there when you weren't. The rewriting of history was masterful and ruthless. Every late night at the office Vera had spent building her marketing firm, every business trip that had secured their financial future, every sacrifice she'd made for their relationship was now being weaponized against her. I was building something for us. For our future. And where did that get you? Yasmin gestured around the apartment, taking in the tissues scattered across the coffee table, the unopened wedding magazines, the engagement photos that still decorated the walls. Here, alone. While Nico is with someone who actually appreciates him. The words landed like physical blows, each one calculated to inflict maximum damage. This wasn't the impulsive betrayal of a moment. This was a long-term campaign of destruction, planned and executed with military precision. You have until Friday to decide about being my maid of honor, Yasmin said, rising gracefully from the couch. The wedding's in 6 weeks. I've already ordered the dress in your size, periwinkle blue, like we always said we'd wear to each other's weddings when we were kids. The memory was a knife twist. They'd been 8 years old, playing dress-up in Yasmin's mother's closet, making promises about friendship and forever. Vera's phone buzzed insistently as she stared at the ceiling, counting water stains and questioning every decision that had led to this moment. Her mother's contact photo filled the screen. A woman whose weathered hands and knowing eyes had seen enough of life's cruelties to recognize them coming from miles away. Baby girl, I heard about what happened. The gentle concern in her mother's voice broke something inside Vera that she'd been holding together with spite and stubbornness. The tears came in waves, ugly and raw, washing away the last pretense that she was handling this with dignity. She wants me to be her maid of honor, Mama. After everything she's done, she wants me to stand up there and smile while she marries the man who was supposed to be my husband. A long silence stretched between them, filled with the weight of maternal wisdom and barely contained fury. That girl was always poison wrapped in pretty paper, her mother said finally. I remember when y'all were 12 and she convinced you to take the blame for breaking Mrs. Johnson's window. Said it would be better coming from you because your family could afford to pay for it. Even then, she knew how to manipulate people into taking her consequences. The memory surfaced with startling clarity. Yasmin's tears, her pleading voice, the way she'd made Vera feel like the hero for taking responsibility for something she hadn't done. She's been practicing on you your whole life, baby. Testing how far she could push, how much you'd take, how completely she could control the narrative. This wedding thing? It ain't about love or friendship. It's about power. About proving she can take everything from you and make you thank her for it. The truth settled in Vera's chest like molten lead, heavy and burning. Every memory, every moment of their friendship suddenly looked different through this new lens. The boyfriend in high school who'd mysteriously lost interest after spending time with Yasmin. The job opportunity that had somehow ended up going to her best friend instead. The small cruelties disguised as jokes, the constant competition masked as support. Yasmin hadn't just stolen Nico. She'd been stealing pieces of Vera's life for years, collecting them like trophies in some twisted game only she knew they were playing. You don't have to do this, baby, her mother continued. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Let them have each other and their shallow little lives. But as her mother spoke, something else was crystallizing in Vera's mind. Something darker and more satisfying than simply walking away. If Yasmin wanted to play games, if she wanted to use their friendship as a weapon, then perhaps it was time to show her exactly what 22 years of intimate knowledge could accomplish. You know what, Mama? I think I am going to be her maid of honor. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Vera. She wants me there? She wants to humiliate me in front of everyone we know? Fine. But she's forgetting one crucial thing. Vera's voice steadied, taking on a quality her mother had never heard before. Cold, calculating, dangerous. I know all her secrets. Every single one. The game was about to change, and Yasmin had no idea what she'd just unleashed. Monday morning found Vera at her desk, transformed. Gone was the broken woman drowning in self-pity. In her place sat someone harder, sharper, with eyes that missed nothing and a smile that promised trouble. Her assistant, Chloe, knocked tentatively on the office door. The Morrison files you requested, and also... She hesitated, lowering her voice. I did that other thing you asked about. Vera accepted the folder with steady hands. Inside, photocopies of documents painted a picture that would have made an investigative journalist weep with joy. Bank statements, credit reports, business filings, all the digital breadcrumbs of Yasmin's carefully curated life. Her boutique's been hemorrhaging money for months, Chloe whispered. She's leveraged everything to keep up appearances. The engagement ring, financed. The wedding venue, her father's putting it on his business credit. Girl's about to lose everything if she doesn't marry rich and fast. The pieces clicked together with satisfying precision. Nico's sudden attentiveness made perfect sense now. Not love, but financial salvation. Yasmin hadn't just stolen him. She'd targeted him with the calculation of a heat-seeking missile. But there was more. Much more. Remember that charity gala last year? The one where she raised $50,000 for the children's hospital. Chloe's eyes gleamed with the satisfaction of uncovered truth. Turns out only $10,000 made it to the hospital. The rest went to covering her store's rent. Embezzlement. Tax fraud. A web of financial crimes hidden behind designer clothes and charitable photo ops. Yasmin had been running a con for years, and everyone, including Nico, was about to pay the price. Vera leaned back in her chair, feeling something she hadn't experienced in weeks. Hope. The coffee shop buzzed with afternoon energy, but Vera barely noticed. Across from her sat Detective Maya Harris, off-duty but still carrying herself with the sharp awareness of someone who'd spent 15 years reading people's lies for a living. You sure about this? Maya asked, stirring her latte with deliberate slowness. Once you start down this road, there's no going back. She destroyed my life for a payday, Vera replied, her voice steady as stone. I'm just returning the favor with interest. Maya had been Vera's college roommate, the one person who'd never fallen under Yasmin's spell. She'd warned Vera years ago about her best friend's nature, predictions that had fallen on deaf ears blinded by loyalty and history. The charity thing is solid, Maya said, reviewing the documents spread between them. Financial fraud, embezzlement, that's federal crime territory. But you need more than bank statements. You need witnesses, paper trails, someone willing to testify. I have someone in mind. Maya raised an eyebrow. Please tell me you're not thinking of doing something stupid. Define stupid. Anything that puts you in legal jeopardy while you're trying to expose her. Maya leaned forward, her expression serious. I've seen people destroy themselves trying to get revenge. Don't become the villain in your own story. But Vera was already 3 steps ahead, her mind racing through possibilities and contingencies. She'd built a successful business by outthinking her competitors, by seeing patterns others missed. Yasmin had made one crucial error. She'd underestimated exactly who she was dealing with. What if I told you I could give you everything you need to make a case? Audio recordings, financial records, witness testimony, all legally obtained. Maya's eyes sharpened. I'd say you better be very, very careful. The bridal boutique gleamed under afternoon sunlight, all white silk and crystal chandeliers, the kind of place where dreams came wrapped in tulle and priced by the thousand. Vera pushed through the doors, her smile bright enough to power the building. Vera. Yasmin's voice carried across the store, drawing stares from other customers. I was hoping you'd changed your mind about the maid of honor thing. Actually, I have. Vera embraced her former best friend, noting how Yasmin's body tensed with surprise. I'd be honored to stand beside you on your special day. The relief in Yasmin's eyes was almost comical. She'd been counting on Vera's predictable nature, her history of rolling over when pushed. But predictability could be a weapon in the right hands. Really? Oh my God, this is perfect. We have so much to plan. The bachelorette party, the brunch, the rehearsal dinner. About that, Vera interrupted smoothly. I'd like to throw you an engagement party. Something intimate, just our closest friends and family. My treat. Yasmin's eyes lit up with naked greed. That's so generous. But are you sure you can afford? Business has been good. Really good. Vera's smile never wavered. I insist. Let me do this for you. For us. For our friendship. As they hugged again, Vera felt the small recording device in her purse, already capturing every word. Phase 1 was complete. Yasmin had just accepted an invitation to her own destruction, gift-wrapped and delivered with a bow. The engagement party would be everything Yasmin wanted: elegant, expensive, and absolutely unforgettable. Just not in the way she expected. The ballroom at the Grandview Hotel sparkled like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers casting rainbow prisms across cream-colored walls adorned with enough flowers to stock a funeral home. Vera had spared no expense, every detail perfect, every element calculated. Guests mingled with champagne flutes and canapés, a carefully curated mix of friends, family, and business associates. What they didn't know was that half the servers were Maya's contacts, people who knew how to blend in while recording conversations and documenting behaviors. "This is incredible," Nico whispered to Yasmin near the champagne fountain, unaware that his words were being captured by the discreet microphone hidden in the floral arrangement. "Must have cost her a fortune. Think she's trying to show us up." "Please," Yasmin scoffed, adjusting her designer dress, one that Vera now knew was stolen from her boutique's inventory. "She's just trying to buy her way back into our good graces. Pathetic, really." From across the room, Vera watched them through a smile that could cut diamond. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The audio equipment was capturing conversations, the photographers were documenting interactions, and most importantly, Yasmin was relaxing into her element. Arrogant, careless, ready to reveal exactly who she really was. "Ladies and gentlemen," Vera called out, tapping her champagne flute. "If I could have your attention for just a moment." The room quieted, all eyes turning toward her. This was it. The moment that would change everything. But instead of the nuclear revelation everyone would later remember, she simply raised her glass. "To my dearest friend Yasmin, and to Nico. May you get exactly what you deserve." The toast echoed through the room, innocent and appropriate. Only Maya caught the steel beneath the sentiment. The video call from Maya came at exactly 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, 2 weeks before the wedding. Vera was sipping coffee on her balcony, watching the city wake up below, when her phone buzzed with news that would change everything. "We got her." Maya's voice carried the satisfaction of a job well done. "The FBI moved on the charity fraud this morning. Bank records, witness testimony, the recordings from the engagement party. It's a solid case. She's looking at 5 to 7 years minimum." Vera felt something shift in her chest, not the triumph she'd expected, but something quieter and more complex. What about Nico? Clean, surprisingly. Seems like he was as clueless as everyone else about her financial situation. Though I doubt that'll matter much when this hits the news. The irony was almost beautiful. Nico had been played just as thoroughly as everyone else. Yasmin's masterpiece of manipulation had been so complete that even her primary target hadn't seen it coming. "There's more," Maya continued. "The boutique investigation turned up some interesting connections. Remember Jessica Larkin from high school? The one who suddenly moved away junior year after that scholarship scandal." Vera's blood chilled. "What about her?" Turns out Yasmin had been forging recommendation letters using stolen letterhead from the guidance counselor's office. Jessica wasn't the only victim. There were at least 6 other students whose scholarship applications got sabotaged so Yasmin's could shine brighter. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Even in high school, Yasmin had been systematically destroying lives to advance her own interests. The pattern wasn't new, it was just finally being exposed. They'll arrest her this afternoon. Probably at the boutique, during business hours. Maximum humiliation, just like she likes to dish out. The local news picked up the story within hours. Footage of Yasmin being led away in handcuffs playing on every channel. The headlines were delicious. Local boutique owner arrested for charity fraud. Society wedding cancelled after bride's arrest. Financial crimes investigation reveals pattern of deception. Vera's phone rang continuously. Reporters, friends, family members all wanting her perspective on the scandal. She declined every interview, letting her silence speak volumes about her dignity in the face of betrayal. Nico appeared at her apartment that evening, looking like a ghost of his former self. His designer suit was wrinkled, his usually perfect hair disheveled, his eyes hollow with the reality of how completely he'd been played. "I need to know," he said without preamble. "Did you orchestrate this?" Vera studied the man she'd once planned to marry, noting how fear and desperation had stripped away the confident facade she'd fallen in love with. "I simply made sure the truth came to light. Everything else was already there, waiting to be discovered." She used me. The words came out broken, disbelieving. Everything she said about love, about us being soulmates, it was all about money. About my family's connections, my trust fund, the life I could give her. Yes, it was. And you knew. I suspected. Then I confirmed it. Then I made sure the right people knew what I'd found. Nico slumped against her doorframe, the full weight of his situation finally settling in. His reputation was destroyed, his social circle in shambles, his business connections questioning his judgment. Yasmin had taken him down with her, just as she'd planned to do with Vera. I'm sorry, he whispered. For everything. For believing her lies, for hurting you, for being too blind to see what was right in front of me. But Vera felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no lingering love. Just emptiness where her feelings for him used to live. 6 months later, Vera stood in her new office, larger and brighter than the old one, overlooking a city that suddenly felt full of possibilities instead of painful memories. Her business had thrived in the aftermath of the scandal. Nothing like surviving a public betrayal to prove your resilience to potential clients. The wedding dress she'd never worn had been donated to a charity that helped women escaping domestic violence start new lives. The engagement ring had been sold, the money invested in her company's expansion. Every trace of her old life had been transformed into something stronger, something entirely her own. Maya knocked on the office door, carrying coffee and gossip in equal measure. Yasmin took the plea deal. 3 years minimum, 5 maximum, depending on behavior. Nico is apparently dating some socialite from his parents' country club. Another woman with family money and useful connections. Good for him, Vera said and meant it. They deserved each other, these people who mistook manipulation for love and financial security for happiness. Any regrets? Maya asked, settling into the chair across from Vera's desk. Vera considered the question seriously. Did she regret exposing Yasmin's crimes? No. Did she regret the years of friendship that had been built on lies? Absolutely. But regret was a luxury she couldn't afford, not when she had a business to run and a life to rebuild. None, she said finally. Sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is show you exactly who they really are. Yasmin did me a favor. She forced me to stop accepting less than I deserved. The city sparkled beyond her windows, full of people and stories and possibilities she hadn't even imagined yet. Her toxic best friend had demanded she be maid of honor to her own humiliation, but instead, Vera had given her something much more valuable. The truth delivered with perfect timing and devastating precision. The wedding was indeed left in ruins, but from those ashes, something better had emerged. A woman who would never again mistake loyalty for doormat behavior or love for convenience. Sometimes the greatest revenge was simply living well, and Vera intended to live spectacularly.